Mojang is planning a, quote, very big update, and we finally know what's happening with minecart, the end update, and more importantly, hamsters. This is a huge reveal that came from a Hebrew stream that Minecraft developer Ulraf did, where he spoke about the future of the game very candidly with YouTuber Adir TV. This is something that is spreading like wildfire right now, leading to an actual response from Ulraf where he walked back some of those claims. And so what is really happening with this crazy list of announced features? Let's go into that today, because you can subscribe and like, by the way, if you want to see more of these videos. But this all came about because Ulraf, a recent Minecraft developer, actually did an interview with Adir TV in both of their native language, Hebrew. This does create some issues for actually sharing what they said, because it sounds like this.
אני עשיתי את כל הלייטנינג רוד, והרבה מהקופר. אז מה שזה אומר, זה שאם יש לך פסל,
Hebrew is pretty far away from English, linguistically speaking, and it obviously goes without saying that even auto-translated subtitles aren't perfectly useful, and so if you've heard any of the explosive things from this interview, it's probably been from this summarized Reddit post or this video from Wattles, both of which were posted yesterday, and both of which use the same source, which is a user named Clump, who is someone who does speak Hebrew, who put together a big Google Doc translating everything, and they do have a big disclaimer about quoting without permission, so credit to their Twitter and their YouTube, but instead, while we talk about the claims, we're going to be referencing this post. So what is it that we actually learn from the interview? Well, you could really simplify it down to these 7 bullet points made in this Reddit post, the 7 claims if you will, and 3 of these are actually things we already knew about without the interview. The first is that a minecart update is planned with no timeline. Well, yeah, you can literally play that right now in snapshots. The second of which is that Mojang plans to support Minecraft for 50 plus years with a roadmap going to 2028. It was great to see Ulraf specifically confirm there's a team dedicated to making sure the updates and making the future of Minecraft great is wonderful. However, this is something that has been said before by Jeb. Even the roadmap to 2028 is something he said about how they always plan updates years in advance. And so the final one is that vibrant visuals will differ between Java and Bedrock. That has been said since the very beginning, because Java obviously doesn't have all of the capabilities that Bedrock does. So if that's 3 things we already knew about, that's 4 we didn't, and these are crazy. The first of which is that a very major update is in development, which seems to be our understanding of how Minecraft's future of development has been going. They said that they'd be working on long-term initiatives, and even though 1.22 didn't come this June, like it would if they were doing yearly updates, the implication has been that they're working on something, and it seems as though this point alone confirms that that is happening. And indeed, they also spoke about an end update. It is inevitable, Ulraf says. It will have wasteland vibes, so a few biomes, new blocks and mobs, not like biome heavy end mobs, and an improved dragon fight. This sounds incredible too. I think it's great that Mojang are actually having these conversations about an end update. It might not be happening now. In fact, the fact that they say inevitable makes it sound like it's not that next major update that's in development, but that they know at some point it's going to happen, and they've already thought about how it should work if it's going to fit current Minecraft. I love to know that those discussions are happening. I also love to know that work is underway to simplify Java servers, because they're aiming for Java/Bedrock crossplay. Right now you can use Geyser on Java to allow Bedrock players to connect to your server, but it's a little bit janky, and ultimately it would be better if Java Bedrock crossplay was just native. Will that ever be possible? Well, they'll certainly need to fix combat first, which is why it's interesting that they mention that PvP and combat will be refined, with some combat test ideas, like attacks through grass, confusingly actually, what does that even mean, returning, with the goal being one unified system. So good news, you'll be able to attack through grass soon, and also Java servers are going to be simplified. A major update is in development, but that update is likely not the end update, but they are having the big discussions about it. That is what is being claimed right here, but interestingly, this doesn't actually cover the entirety of things being referenced. If we look at the original interview and document that this all comes from though, you can see that there's even more to this that wasn't listed there. So for example, when he was asked about adding hamsters to the game, he says that yeah, adding friendly mobs is great, but a lot of people just assume that because something is a pet, that it's assumed to be good, and then he says,
ובעצם זה לא טוב להם, זה עושה להם רע, למשל. אני לא יודע אם אוגרים זה ככה, אולי זה לא.
This is broadly consistent with what Mojang have said before, and also what's interesting is he was asked about vertical slabs and could only respond that he was under contract not to. So big claims, if true, are ultimately saying that there's going to be a very major update, the end update is inevitable, that there is going to be work underway to simplify Java, and indeed that the combat test ideas are still happening. Absolutely massive news, plus the things we already knew being reconfirmed. But this is where things get interesting because these are big claims if they're true, but are they? That's the issue. If only there was some way we could have like some confirmation from someone involved on the inside, well, actually, we did. Because of the virality that original video and this Reddit post actually reached, Ulraf came in to clear some things up, and it's interesting because he does say that he is Ulraf, the developer, and that he does want to clarify to avoid misunderstandings and specifically mistranslations. Too long didn't read. The stream was a fun time talking about our favorite things in Minecraft and answering fan questions about our favorite game. We didn't discuss any future updates, roadmaps, or upcoming features that haven't been announced. This conversation was more about things that I'm personally excited about and my thoughts about what would be in Minecraft in the future. For example, I said I would like to work on minecarts in the future. I said I would excited to improve the end at some unknown time in the future and shared my personal thoughts about what would be cool for it. I said I would like to improve how easy it is to play with your friends on Java. So this is great to hear, and to a lot of people it just immediately invalidates everything that's been said. But first of all, just for a little bit of skepticism, if Ulraf did accidentally come out and announce an end update, let's say, when he was not supposed to, Mojang are very strict about what developers share about those upcoming announcements. He would have to retract either the interview or his statement just like this, but I am going to say that I do actually believe Ulraf here. I think that yes, when he's saying that he was just talking about what he would like, that is mostly what happened, and therefore most of what has been shared has kind of come through a weird game of Chinese whispers, because this Reddit post has very different wording to its claims than the Twitter user does right here, which is different to how Wattles made it, which is worded differently to the source that he was using in that same video, which is of course then just a translation and so not a perfect retelling of the original. Take for example that point about having vertical slabs. Well, it seems a lot like he might have been joking, but it's really hard to work out exactly how this is if we can't hear it in our own native language. To prove this best to you, here is a Jeb interview where he was asked about the Warden.
On the last Ask Mojang video, someone asked about the Warden being related to the end, but you didn't give us a concrete answer. So, is it related?
Unfortunately, we want to keep the mystery.
I think it's perfectly clear from the way he was asked and his expression that he wants to keep it a mystery, that he's not leaning one way or the other about the connection between the Warden and the end. However, if we were to have this be in a different language... And now imagine that someone makes that imperfect translation and puts it on a Google Doc where they're trying to simplify things but also have them be as exciting as possible for a YouTuber, and then someone reads that thread, puts it onto Twitter where they want to be even more inflammatory, and then someone puts that onto Reddit sharing just the most exciting parts of it, worded again in their own unique way. At that point you've played Chinese whispers and you've lost the entire point of what it is that you're trying to share, which is why we should be taking these claims not with a grain of salt but with a mountain of it. Indeed, if you've ever studied sourcing for the sake of even like a school paper, it's like, yeah, you can't, your primary sources are great, secondary sources are okay, but this is a multiple times secondary source that's been translated in there. It is a not perfectly reliable source, which is why, to move into the conclusion, what is it that we can take from this? Well, huge announcements, these are not. Anything that you've seen in a Reddit post, a Twitter thread, or a YouTube video that claims this is some big Mojang announcement, that is not accurate. But are some of these claims true? I think in spirit, at least some of them are. Ulraf, for example, is not confirming they are working on an end update, literally the opposite. However, I think that it confirms there are conversations happening. It's positive to know that a new combat system is still in development and that they are actively talking about an end update at least and planning out how it should work, rather than internally saying, no, never end update, people have asked for it too much, we can never deliver it, which is good. These are the sorts of things you want to hear that Mojang are doing in their office, and so it's great to hear that it is happening. It's also really interesting to learn that they are indeed working out which animal should come to Minecraft over others. They're working out in general that like friendly mobs should be tameable and not actively hostile to you, but also if it's a mob that you're going to tame, it should be good for the animal. Even though you might not agree with that, it's fascinating to hear at least, right? And likewise, I would say that there is definitely no big announcement for a big 1.22 update, despite the thousands of people that have shared that a very big update is coming. I would say that it's not something we can expect soon, but instead they're working out how to deliver it, and perhaps the fact that Ulraf was excited to share that, alongside his thoughts for all these other things, is a sign that yes, Mojang developers do still care, not just about these drops, but also about everything else. Oh, also, given that the only thing that was explicitly anti-confirmed were the things that Ulraf said, he also said that he was under contract for, vertical slabs, right? And I just need to mention this, for like a split second earlier in the interview, literally it's a 3.5 hour video, and for a second second, he opens up this on his computer, and I'm the only one that can see this, but I swear, it looks like they're vertical stone slabs, right? But anyway, just an interesting thought about what might be in the next update. If Mojang is currently going in big people pleaser mode right now, it's something that I can theorize about, but for now, that's just a theory, a Minecraft theory. With that said though, I hope you'll enjoy this video. If you want to learn about the new beta and snapshot that released today, I've been making the assumption that it is just going to be bugs and stuff. If they have added new features, I'll let you know in the comments down below, and we'll talk about it more in the bits video, which is usually on Thursday, or maybe even tomorrow if it's really, really exciting. But I hope you all enjoyed this. I felt like it was too big for us not to cover, and so thank you. I'll see you tomorrow. Or maybe I won't. Yeah, I can't see anyone now. Okay, goodbye.